Hello everybody, welcome back. Game 1. You're feeling bad if you're OMG, you're feeling bad for the fans in Chengdu, but my goodness, JDG rob 'em blind. But they still have to stay in the scene of the crime. They still have to get the whole heist out complete. They got the money, now they got to escape the building. What's happening here, Clement?
Well, JD Gaming, usually when we talk about them using their heads,
Yes.
we're thinking about headbutts.
Boom.
Headstrong.
Yes.
But that was head turning. That was actually smart play coming out from JD Gaming. I felt like they learned a lot from the TOP series where they just aren't always going for catches. We looked at their composition and we were like, well, this is pretty much the same thing we expect out of JD Gaming from all their games. Try to play that catch game, but this time they played the macro game. They ran them around the map.
Exactly. It was all about the objectives. It was about the dragons that were coming through, the Rift Herald take that was happening on JDC side, and Flawless was always there, and it always felt like the steals, the nabs were coming through. Both sides were doing it. I think Penguin had a really headstrong, or at least take a look at this, because it starts with Flawless. He has topside control. He even says, Zoom, you can leave me by. I got this going, but not happening.
Yeah, both sides actually get smite. Flawless doesn't really get his down in the right timing, and it gets up to a very good start for OMG. However, on the future games where JD Gaming threw them the difficult decision to make between your base and the objectives, it really did put OMG in such a hurried position. They were very desperate to get things down, and they didn't always make the correct calls.
I don't even know who ended up taking up the Elder Dragon in this one, because it mattered the least.
It was Flawless, definitely.
Because
we saw the Elder Drake go down, and that actually sped up the Nexus take on the bot side as well.
Yes, at that point, OMG wanted to concede the fight and head towards what is a blown-up Nexus. Incredible game there from JDG at the end. I think that, keeping headstrong is something we've said in a lot of ways. That was them being smart, and they utilized their strongest tool in Zoom, who's going to be the MVP of this one. Strong performance from him. I thought his Yorick performance in the beginning of the game is great. They really pummeled, it seemed, Xiyang's Renekton. The strongest player on the map, yes or no?
Oh, definitely, for sure. He was getting off to a great start, and he's opening up JD Gaming to other win conditions. This is what I really wanted to see out of the growth for JD Gaming. Not just a brawler, but also a tactician at this point.
All right, 83% kill participation too, so not only on the side lanes, but also being able to be there and join in potential team fights. They limited their options, OMG's options. So now going into game 2, what do you actually even discuss if you're OMG? Because OMG going into this game, it felt like they got everything down packed, everything was right, and it came down to the objectives, and they still lost.
I know, OMG, they had a great early game. I loved their draft. They got the counter matchup with the Urgot dangling them and thinking about that was going to go to Xiyang into the top side. It was actually Icon that picked it up. So counter matchup into the top side, counter matchup into the bot side, and a strong matchup in the mid lane. That's pretty much what you want to see. A early game juggernaut that you can take and snowball the entire game from OMG. What they did, where they did drop the ball, was I didn't like their lane allocations during the middle phases of the game. I touched on this briefly, but what you want to do from your mid lane is have pressure and have mobility where you can pressure the side lanes. The position to do that was with Icon. He was 3 kills ahead. He had his Black Cleaver and the Righteous Glory build, so you very well could have being put into that position if he took over the mid lane. Instead, they put Cassiopeia and Tomcatch mid. They never really had control over it. Cassiopeia is not a champion they can push over to their side of the river, and so they really let Zoom get away with murder. Zoom was allowed to basically push unstopped in terms of the bottom side. They never found a pick on him. They never really pressured him. So I think that's where they kind of gave away a lot of the game.
Really did feel like a game of wave clear at the midpoint, where JDG was able to just slow it down. Even when the small windows that we saw where they were on the major objectives, I felt like, Tom Kench involved. Usually if there's an Alistar, easy headbutt pulverize. Perhaps OMG's going into this game thinking their options about the support pick. But Tom Kench is not a bad teamfighter or a bad engage option in any way, right, Clement?
Oh, definitely not. And, OMG has been using a couple of very interesting support picks overall. We did see the Sejuani being picked up by 5 as well. So if they think the main problem was the lack of initiation, they could go for that again.
True.
That's a potential option. But overall, I agree with what you said. Tahm Kench is fine. If you have map control, you have a lead, you should be able to get a flank in that scenario. You should be able to send Renekton to the back of the team, make sure you close out on the team fight. There's no escape at that point. However, OMG a little bit timid on the trigger when they did have the lead, and I didn't like the lane allocations.
It's funny, you look across the lead. Before we talk about that, here's a substitution coming in. Levi for Flawless. With how well Flawless played that last game, I like the idea of bringing in Levi, getting him the experience necessary to at least be competitive in that role. He obviously saw some few things too, because it wasn't just a pure JDG like success early game and mid game. You could say that there could be some additions being made to be competitive, right?
Oh, definitely. Flawless, if you go back in that game, the early game, he was actually doing quite poorly.
Okay.
We do have to mention that his CS was down by 30 plus. If you look at the stats overall, Flawless is actually one of the least efficient junglers in that term. He does go for ganks a lot, but he doesn't farm as much, and it does leave him behind. We've seen the same thing against XX as well, where XX basically played defensively early game and then took over the map with a level lead. So I think it's good to try and mix it up with a jungler like Levi. Maybe have him play another style. Expand the repertoire that JD Gaming can play early.
Yeah, Levi, a great carry jungler, oftentimes focuses on the specific jungle matchup rather than looking for ganks that, you know, you've already mentioned. Flawless is a party to that. What I saw in the last game, I don't know if I can blame Flawless in particular, because you go to the bottom lane, you want to be able to get a gank across the Tahm Kench. He has cleanse, surprise, surprise. It felt so hard for the jungler to have an impact into that one. What do you want to see Levi do in this game, regardless of draft? You want to be able to just go out there and look to skirmish out the enemy jungler?
So with Levi, I think the number one thing is try to see improvements in his ganks, because Levi is used to being the best mechanical player of his region. That is a condition that he was playing with, and you could see his first showing with JD Gaming, he was just ganking nonstop, but a lot of those ganks were actually turnaround. Because in the LPL, I'm sorry to say this, but in general, mechanics are better.
Yep.
There are junglers that can punish you better, and what Levi needs to learn is that he needs to make successful ganks based off of map position, based off of basically things that are short, champion matchups, things of that nature. A lot of times what we see him going into is just ramming in with the Rek'Sai saying, I got the drop on you, enemy jungler shows up, and it gets turned around. Yeah. So I want to see smart ganks coming out from him, but he does have the mechanics, he does have the tools to do it.
Also, you saw just briefly Imp having a discussion with his coach, Coach Ohm. So that was, for me, that's really fun. Just with former Samsung compatriots, and on top of that, Korean import here for JDG. They had Loken previously, and bringing in Imp and Bavoy, it's been rough for JDG coming into this. We already talked about the stats that Imp came in with. Bavoy has been an alternative, and he's been pumping out #1 in terms of DPM, but there is a caveat. Give him the caveat.
The caveat is he plays a lot of Ezreal.
Yeah,
so a lot of that damage doesn't actually lead to anything. And it really just pokes, stuff that people heal and sustain off of. I will say if you're comparing the two options between Imp and Bavoy, I would still go a little bit more for Imp. I feel like he's had better team fight showings in general, and he does have an expanded champion pool. If you bring Bavoy in, he's playing something that can disengage for himself. He's a much more defensive-oriented player. Ezreal and Xayah are his go-to picks. While if you bring Imp in, he can give you the early options like the Lucian and the Sivir.
There's always that tried and true discussion about giving yourselves option to carry option in the bottom lane, great team fight aspects, or just try and zoom in on Zoom and Yagao. We're going straight into pick and ban, with the bans being Lucian from OMG. So OMG doesn't want to see Lucian on the map there for Imp. And you can already see Cassiopeia and Gragas off the map for JDG.
All right, so JD Gaming are pretty much admitting right here that, okay, we probably lost that game 1 draft by quite a big margin. We're going to go back into the meta stuff. And what I want to see out of OMG in terms of their counter picking is what they can get for Icon. That's always been the biggest question for us. Typically when they are on the red side, they do like to leave that option open for Icon. He plays a ton of champions.
Beginning of show, you told me you want to see JDG pick up the Zoe on first pick, or just like a high priority option for Yagao. One of those picks you never want to see on Yagao if you want to come up with a victory. OMG recognizes that and say, hey, we don't want to go home early. I know we're in Chengdu still, but it's like it's a short transit back home. But we want to elongate this one, go into game 3, taking the Zoe off. It's going to be a pick about mid lanes. You talked about, for Icon, being a great counter picker. but the last game we saw him go for the priority of Urgot. But still very flexible on blue side. If you're red side, you want to see that change in priority?
Yeah, I do want to. I think JD Gaming are pretty much going to take Urgot here. That's been their go-to first pick. It's up to OMG to really hold on to their cards, hold the cards close to their chest, and then play them out one by one and get that counter pick. But JD Gaming, they actually surprised me. They're going to go for something new.
Same champ, different jungler. It might go towards Zoom. I'll leave that one as an option for him.
Definitely is.
Or if you're Spirit, maybe put it to LvMao. He's been a more creative support. I'll give him that one. But no, don't do that. OMG going to be picking up. It looks like they're going to be locking that one in. An Alistar option for 5. You'll always be happy about that. We have some of the best Alistar players in the league. That might open them up for a Kalista. What would you want to see as a... I'm not saying AD carry immediately, but do you agree with the Ezreal hover?
For Chelly, they're a lane that is pushed in most of the time, so you can't see OMG. Their picks here are just basically setting themselves up for counter picks later in the solo lanes. That's why they're forcing Chelly to pick now.
Yeah,
and
easy.
If you're going to if you're not going to prioritize on your laning phase, if you are going to have a matchup where you are countered, you might as well go for something that has late game insurance. So I think what they're doing here is perfectly fine. I do want to see a little bit more out of Imp's Kalista. We know that he can play in that style, in that fashion. However, not having the greatest laning phase in this series yet.
That's true. Hasn't been doing well for himself, but as you already talked about, looking for counter picks. That might go to show that JDG would want to pick up a support right here. Tom Kench has been banned out. Perhaps the Braum does go into LvMao's champion pool, but what am I saying? If Galio is on the map, you know that JDG is going to pick it up for themselves. Locks it in.
I love that combination coming in from JD Gaming. It's pretty much the Pokemon comp where you throw out Galio, he's the Pokeball, and you can get an AoE stun on the rest of the team. We've seen this being played a lot in the LCK as well. Fates calling Galio great composition. And now it's up to Icon's turn. He locks it in directly.
There we go. Last time we saw OMG pick up a win in a series, it was with Icon on that LeBlanc swagger versus WE. They ended up losing that series, but I don't give a damn. It's about the fact that he played well in that one, and he is the most confident when he picks up that LeBlanc.
Ooh, a lot of hard questions being thrown to Yagao's way. Now, his typical response has been the Rise pick, which has been gaining popularity in the recent patches, but we haven't really seen Yagao play it a lot. Not this split so far, so it's going to be a very difficult matchup for him to decide on.
A lot of mid lane bans coming through. Might force the Galio pick mid, but no, we've been seeing a lot
of
support.
The Rise goes away as well, so Icon definitely knows the flow chart for Yagao right there.
And when Yagao gets challenged, he wants to fight back. No I mean, oh, I'm going ahead of myself.
Oh, Yasuo. Oh.
Just throwing that out one.
Oh, it could come up. That's a great composition to get it. Already multiple knockups. You can see Holmes thinking about it.
Akali is an opportunity as well. I'm just saying, right now, if you're a Gal, and you're saying no Lissandra, no Rise, and you have the ability to go straight into the meta, big question as to what JDG are going to do. They're going to have to show their full hand here. They are on blue side.
So let's think about what the big picks are still left for. Yagao currently has played the Victor as well. What the other champion he does have is the Syndra, which is actually considered a good matchup into LeBlanc, but not something that Yagao is really known for. I would say Icon would still be pretty happy going into that matchup against him. And Syndra is one of those picks that if the early laning phase doesn't work out for you, you are put behind.
Yeah, this is going to be the ultimate challenge because you are going up against what is a phenomenal 2v2 in the Zhao and LeBlanc matchup. That's going to be a Jayce locked in, but you would expect that to be going top lane. So a Jayce and Jarvan of the top side of the map. It's going to be a pick here for, I would have to say, Yagao. He either holds on to the Galio or he hands that off to LvMao and decides, does he want to go Akali here? Corki is the option, much stronger in 9.4, but it is 9.2. We've been seeing it a few times. Knight has picked it out for himself because he is a Corki connoisseur. It's just saying that you're picking for poke. Locks it in. We're going to see Yagao on Corki. That is a surprise.
Looking for alternate win conditions right here. Something that can play safe in the lane and still have a win condition later on. And we've seen the Malphite being played in North America as well. Very good win coming out from Echo Fox on that one. But they're not going to go for that. They're going to go for the Yorick. So split push against the poke composition coming out from JD Gaming rather than just the full-on engage.
In the first game, Xiyang came back into the split. He did lock in the Yorick then too. So he's coming out saying that I'm willing to play carries both of these games, a carry option. even though he was known as a great facilitator in tank, he wants to be able to etch his name out as a phenomenal carry. He doesn't want to find himself behind in the laning phase. And if you look at OMG's composition, it seems pretty staked out that we want to have a strong laning phase. Do you think that they come out ahead of that?
Oh, yeah, they definitely come out ahead on the top side, and I think that's the side that matters the most in terms of this matchup. Yorick against the Jayce, if you can throw in a couple ganks his way, Jayce is a champion that can get shut down super hard. Lethality builds typically are you're ahead or you're very, very far behind.
The Corki option, though. So the late game scaling on the side of JDG, and we saw how late that last game could go. It's whether or not you can weather the storm. LeBlanc, Yorick, Zhao, and you know you got to give a little bit of respect to the Kaisa. Kaisa is going to be an insane option for them as well. Kaisa for Imp has been something he's been trying to really state his name on. He's a phenomenal, team fight AD carry. It's just been difficult to get out of the laning phase, and when you're going up against OMG, laning phase, at least for this series, has been the featuring point of the match.
Yeah, just a small correction right there. It is going to be the Kalista pick. Kaisa's going to go over to Chelly in that point.
Okay.
And I think it does stake out what JD Gaming's game plan is in general. It's that bot side Imp. We have the damage in our solo lanes.
Yes.
Just make sure you win the early laning phase in that lane. That's all we need from you. Keep a stable pushing lane in the bot side. We'll handle the rest on the top.
Here's the lineup here, the champions that you're going up. You're right. It's going to be Imp with the Kalista. Galio is still being locked in there for LvMao. So the team fight composition, Jarvan, Galio, that is what you want to see for JDG. OMG wants to answer back. They do not want to be robbed blind. You can already see the escape vehicle running out there. OMG is the only team missing. We're going on to game 2. OMG versus JDG.
Chengdu fans are some cold fans.
They're trying to wait, man. Calm down.
All right, sorry.
Last game, it went into that, early level 1, and they're respectful of that. Oh no, don't leave them hanging. I think they're leaving them hanging. Yeah, you're right. It's cold in Chengdu.
Well, it's cold in space in general, which is the Chengdu Stadium's.
That's true. That's the vibe that they have. The whole galaxy. Oh no, please. Xiyang thought it was just going to be a 1v1. No gentleman agreement. They might actually force him to not. Oh my god. 1 minute and 14 seconds, and he still hasn't back.
He's going to have to use his teleport for this one. If he wants to get back in lane in time, he's actually going to have to use his teleport.
That also means that full vision control topside, JDG already staking their place here, might end up starting red buff, which would mean vertical jungling for Levi.
And
so
that's a massive win for JD Gaming. We were talking about the win conditions being in the top side of the map. What's a better way to control the top side than having your jungler there while the Zhao starts on the bot?
That's true. I wonder what Penguin's going to be doing. That's the second challenge. I know he's probably prepped quite a bit for Flawless, but now has to be seeing 2 international you'd put out there junglers. Oh, actually saying no to the vertical jungling, and he's going to take his own red buff, and he's going to be trying to triple buff Penguin.
This is a really smart play. It's an on the fly play coming out from JD Gaming. Look at the bot lane. OMG did not start with the leash, and immediately JD Gaming are saying, hey, we have enough time to actually walk back to our own buff. They get the leash into the terms of the top side, the tempo advantage, and they get the 3 buff.
One thing that you usually see here, we're just starting to focus in on the lanes, level 2 here for Imp and LvMao, is we didn't get the chance to talk about the runes, so I'll give that one out here. Ordinarily, it's a fleet footwork coming in from Yagao, but he's trying to actually answer back in the lane. Goes for a Comet. Take a look at that. It's going to be completely in sorcery. Now, thankfully, you get to see the mana flow band being picked up there, and goes inspiration secondary.
It's a really smart way to play it generally. It's a very aggressive way. He's basically saying that I can predict when you're going to distort back to your original position. I'm going to catch you with the phosphorus bombs as you're going back. But most of the time, he's not supposed to win that matchup.
Here comes some bullying. Xiyang has already been comfortable with that. He's going to... Oh, yeah, that's the burn damage coming through. Very stylish, just baseball bat him out of there. And he's losing 2 waves of minions. At least he held on to his TP last time around, so he's going to be able to catch some of them.
Insanely confident play coming in from the top side of JD Gaming. The willingness to just knock him out of there with the thundering blow when he was still alive. that just shows you the amount of damage calculation that Zoom is working with.
Yeah, Cool guys don't look at explosions. Not too much explosion on that one, but definitely cool enough to walk away. Zoom having a stellar series, and even though there's some help, Levi, flawless, doesn't matter who's in the jungle position. They're confident enough in their solo laners that they can come out and it pays off. MVP in game 1 and set up to be an MVP in game 2.
Yeah, they just need a chokehold on the top side. Already one wave ahead. I just want to see how far Levi can push this. Usually Levi's a very gank-oriented jungler. He likes to play himself as a carry, keep far ahead, but this time he already has a win condition set up in that top side. I want to see him really just punish that and make sure that Penguin can't even get near to that lane.
Yeah, you said it. I mean, if he goes top side, at least he has the Krugs that he can go on. Just taking a look at this, the ping is there. Probably calling out to the fact that he can look to harass Xiyang a little bit, but Zoom's been lulled into a false sense of confidence. Thankfully, he has the ward there to catch him out. You talked about how strong Levi's been this game. He's going to be able to easily push Penguin away from the lane.
Yeah, I really love this play from Levi. He knows he has the level lead, the waves pushing in for Zoom. Make sure that he can continue to just increase the advantages that he has already. It's a very aggressive type of play. He's going into the enemy jungle, and he's also spotting out where Icon is coming from. So I really like this job he's doing.
Constantly looking to harass Xiyang underneath the tower. And he is so close to, I'll say halfway through already taking the first turret plating off the top lane. Have eyes on the base here from Zhao. You know from this point forward he's not going to go back top lane because he wants to be able to clear out bot side, which makes it even harder there for Xiyang. What do you want to see from Xiyang to actually come out? I'll say OMG. You know what? To keep Xiyang ahead, to keep him alive, because 2 games in a row, that's been a difficult point.
Yeah, it's Xiyang, you know, just that early game mistake was so costly on his end. And Zoom might even get another stop right there. What OMG is really worried about at this point is if Zoom gets the tower early, moves it towards the middle lane, links it up with the Triforce power spike, that's almost an unstoppable poke composition.
Take a look at this. Plating 160 gold in your pocket. If you're going to be basing on site with a cannon minion wave, you better expect that you're losing that. He's already working towards the next one. Zoom doing so well. 48 CS to 28. 20 CS ahead, and he's just going to work on this tower.
The number one thing OMG has to do is that they have to delay the tower take from Zoom in towards the top side. If they get the power, spikes linked up together, there's nothing OMG can really do about it. So I think Penguin either needs to find a sneaky gank in the mid lane, bring Icon into the equation, or he's just gonna have to do a lane gank in towards the top side.
Looks to be a lot of damage on the Yagao, but he can't commit to it. Icon has to back away as Zoom has joined the fight. Penguin in the wrong side of the map. No way you're getting out of this one. Might go for the 1v1 on Yagao. No way, Jose. Yagao keeps alive.
Yeah, great move from Zoom right there. He basically read the map very well. Penguin's going to try to look for something in the mid lane. I'm just going to go in.
Icon's fishing. He has flash. He has ultimate, and he has ignite. He knows he can look for the solo kill on Yagao with just a...
What?
Got the chain, and he's about to get it. 1v1 in your face. Levi knows he can't do anything about it. Icon's a god.
Oh boy, even Yagao is smiling right there. He's like, I've been dunked on. I've been posterized by this man.
Literally put that poster in your living room. You don't want to go to sleep tonight. I'm just putting that out there. You'll see Icon in your dreams, at least finding avenues back into the game. Because if there is one champion you know that Icon is comfortable with, it's that LeBlanc.
Oh boy, Yagao just staying a little bit too long. You know, that was a wave that Levi could reasonably have picked up for him. Just want to get a little bit further ahead. Gets punished so hard for it.
They had the summoners, and they knew that he was aggressively positioning. It was just more so Yagao having that faith in Levi, that he beat all ins on me. Please, get that get that flag and drag. Just do something. I must remain alive. Didn't happen. Now that gold is on Icon. He's doing so well in the lane. 10 CS ahead, has that 1 kill gold. He has to be, if he wants to be able to combat this lead that Zoom has.
This is a very interesting itemization coming out from Icon as well. He's actually looking to leave lane earlier and have an impact on the map. Maximum potential for mobility and a lot of mana sustained with the double dark seals coming in. Usually you will see something more akin to the to getting parts of the Morellonomicon or double pen going on for the LeBlanc, but this time he knows his win condition. His other lanes are very far behind, and he needs to have a presence on the map.
Yeah, win lane, win game, it seems like for Icon right now. You were talking about the double guard seal in line for him. Hexdrinker might be able to keep Yagao alive. With his blue buff being handed off to Icon, he will be able to keep in lane for a little bit longer. You'll have to see if Levi could hand blue over to Yagao, because honestly, if you're a Corki, one of the hardest things you can deal with, while you have Valkyrie, you might not want to use it that much with how much mana it actually robs you.
Yeah, I don't think Yagao's gambit of using the Comet is actually paying off at this point. You can see Icon, very clever, is actually hanging on to his the second part of his distort in most of these trades.
Yes.
He's saying, I'm not going back, you can use your phosphorus bomb, I'm just going to stay here and auto-attack you.
Footwork could have worked out well for him, but you know, at least it will pay off later on when you see at least the ultimate, the poke that you see from JDG's composition start to come online. Here comes a gank opening. No ward in the bush. Penguin is going to be coming in unseen. I don't think there's a ward in the next bush either, but LvMao, does he have a ward charge? No, he doesn't. Yeah, this is a great call. Vision control is always the toughest to get bot side. It looks like his lanes are actually looking to base, so just trying to see if they can get a good clear out in the wave before they end up basing. I
really like that base bait as well. It's something that works on a lot of players. You know, you just see someone basing in front of you like, hey, that's disrespectful. I'm going to throw a spear in there. Oh, I'm dead.
I'm going to see if I can stop this and elongate the lane. Oh, no. Alright, so it's going to be Levi going for topside. I mean, we saw this from Flawless last game. It didn't work out too well, but at least topside is in control for JDG. Now that we're seeing Jayce have such a strong laning phase presence and being able to chip down this turret, if they're able to get this one out here, might be able to speed up the game for JDG.
And Yorick's girlfriend is actually forced home early. Not much of a date in towards the top side. We did hear that from Amazing Jay. Did feel like...
Wasn't it wife? I think it was wife. I think there was some commitment, all right?
Okay. It was probably the wife and his 4 sons. The goals were the 4 sons coming in.
It's a nice family that's always rolling with you.
Yeah.
I mean, this time around they're struggling. You know, they might not be able to make the bread. Get out of here. Escape. Don't leave your wife behind.
I don't think he has a choice.
Yeah, you can't control her, but definitely going to have to get out of there. That's going to be the first tower gold there completely for Zoom. 610 gold.
Really rough situation right there. I like how Levi gave him the entire portion of the gold, didn't throw his flag down at all.
Xiyang can't be too comfortable. He's going to try and trap her. There we go. Chelly is going to be put to the wolves. 1v1. I just wanted to see his wife, you know, go ham against Chelly. That would be probably one of the best fights all night. 2,000
gold advantage for the top side. Now here's the big question. Will they get the poke composition set in place? If Yagao and Zoom show up in the same lane.
For the fight, LvMao is going to look for a taunt. Just a little bit of a trade. Not much you can do about this one. If it was a little bit longer, you could see Levi having an opening. No, actually, there was a ward on him, so really smart for Chelly and 5 to get a whiff of Levi coming bot side and saying, we don't want a part of this.
Good play right there. You know, just trying to goad OMG into overextending at that point.
Because Chelly does have his first item, so being able to have the Storm Raise is great, but they're really trying to be baited. Oh, here we go. It could be a taunt flash? No, not going to be the case. He had his flash, but wasn't willing to use it. But they're going headbutt pulverize on Jarvan. Jarvan gets jumped in on. Oh, he goes out safely, but these teleports, I don't know about this
in
one,
a bad place.
Oh no, flashes away, and it looks like it's getting turned on Penguin. Penguin has to use his ultimate. There goes Zoom as well.
That's a lot of people.
That's a lot. That's double kill for Corki, but you got to get out of there if you're JDG. Another kill for Icon. That seems to be a 2v3 in favor of OMG.
Oh, and that was so back and forth from both teams right there. It looked like JD Gaming, they won out early. They dodged out on the collapse from Icon, but then a pretty bad teleport from Zoom. We have to keep it honest here. That was a teleport that have gone really, really poorly. Fight punishing with a triple. But then Yagao coming back with a double of his own just across the wall. That poke damage and that power spike really doing him wonders.
Different objectives every single time that teleport came through for each member. You're right about the fact that Zoom definitely put himself out there for the Wolves. And they all in on Penguin. I don't think they expected him to keep alive for as long as he did. Might get on top of Icon, doesn't have any mana, and LvMao is going to taunt him. It's a lot of damage. He should be able to actually just solo him out. 400 gold there for Galio.
Ooh. Such good map positioning from JD Gaming. That was picture perfect to snipe out Icon. I don't really know what Icon was trying to do right there. He had no mana on him, so he couldn't even finish a full combo. Yeah. It definitely was a situation where he should have backed.
A lot of people out there thinks that they have the pressure just because they see their jungler just behind them looking towards the dragon. But you got to be prepared, especially if you're doing a major objective like that. The enemy team is at least there to contest, or at least there to push out lanes. So definitely put him out to dry. Chelly is definitely surrounded. Hands up. No sudden movements. There much you can do there. Okay, maybe there is. Chelly. Nah, just kidding. He tried to go out there. Levi is pretty low on HP. Same with Zoom. So if they try to go for this one, maybe they can get opened up by the Alistar, but he's out here alone with LeBlanc. I don't know about this one.
3-1 Icon. Doesn't get the chain, however.
Yeah, so I thought it was just Icon looking for an electrocute proc on top of Jarvan. Jarvan was smart enough to get the hell out of there. So that's going to be a tower bottom lane. Maybe a trade mid. You see Penguins going to work on that one if the observers... No, they see something far more interesting. Okay, they think that, and I honestly would get baited by this as well. Icon just trying to stop the base.
Yeah, that's a massive win for Icon right there. He makes two people stop their bases, turns around for him, and look how much time he actually gets in the top and the mid side.
You can keep Yorick Mori down, but he's going to go to work on your towers. The objective's now 2 for 1, it seems. So still being traded across the map. Yagao will be coming up with his package. I don't think there's a play that's ready for him, and it's a relatively short uptime for that one. So we'll have to see. He may just use that one for rotation, push in lane, and maybe move towards the dragon.
Yep, it's always a great lane pushing tool. You only actually get 1 minute on that package, so you do have to decide to use it pretty early on. It does respawn every 4 minutes, however. It's basically like Corki having an extra flash. And that's really what makes Corki such a good side lane split pusher as well. What I expect Yagao to do when if the game does go to the 3-item stage, he's actually going to be able to stand up to Xiyang.
I think he's found his target here, sees the LeBlanc. LeBlanc can get out of there quite easily, so he doesn't want to go all in on that target. Just wants to push her back. OMG is ready for this one. Penguin is in there. No ward to catch him out. But Yagao is smart enough to recognize that he doesn't want to be anywhere near the strongest member of the map on Icon.
JD Gaming with a great poking game coming on already. Levi with the flag is also great for poke compositions. Gives you that extra attack speed.
Get him! It's always fun to see him just scream at you. May not be doing that much damage, but to your earlobes, 100%.
That's also my favorite skin coming out from Yorick. I really like the Jason references in that one.
I think my favorite skin for Yorick is the Graveyard one in particular. I think it's called Undertaker Yorick.
Ah, yeah.
It's pretty nice. You just have a lamp on top of your head, just for that purpose alone. I'm a simple man. I like simple things. I don't think Levi can actually hold this one up, so 4 members from OMG are going to be able to take this mid lane tower.
OMG playing the macro games themselves, actually. We do have to remember they do have the late game win condition of Chelly on the Kaisa as well. We haven't really seen much of Kaisa. It's been put behind in lane pretty far throughout most of the game. But I really like the trades that they're doing. They're opening themselves up for a lot of potential flanks if JD Gaming do decide to group up in Siege.
This should be a slower game. If you're both JDG and OMG. I like it that you said that OMG has the late game incentive with Chelly on Kaisa. But just taking a look at JDG, you'd expect them to be thinking the same thing. Corki already picked up his Trinity Force. Even though he was held up by his Hex Drinker, he's going to be moving towards what you'd expect to be a rapid-fire cannon. Take a look at this, though. Xiyang's got to back away at this point. Oh, no, he's left his wife out to dry. What are you doing, son?
There's some messed up family relations right there, sending his wife back to the wolves. JD Gaming don't pick up on it, so it's still fine. I think this is the moment where we see the big engage come in. OMG are in position where, JD Gaming are in position where they can just straight up take a tower, look for a Baron play at this point. It's going to be how Icon can actually play this out. We do see him trying to group up and join the team at this point. Remember, OMG, if they can find a flank on someone like the Jayce or the Kalista, They can still do a lot of damage here.
Corki teleporting to the bottom lane wave just to pick it up. That's his priority at this point in the game. He wants to get to the rapid fire cannon. IE is also just a tough task. So it's one of the major reasons that we're not seeing Corki in the meta in this patch at the very least. So he's, wait a minute. What you doing, son? What are you looking for? Oh no. Okay.
He showed
Hands
himself.
Up. You might want to get out of here. He has Valkyrie, but that's an Alistar. He's going to be using both of his abilities. Okay, here we go. Teleport coming in. But that's a long uptime for your teleport. You're just going to be here to see. Okay. That's a lot of deeps. That's a lot of deeps. Chelly's got to get out of there alongside Penguin. So at least 2 members are off the map. Dragon is there and ready if Levi wants to take it.
Yeah, it's going to go straight over to JD Gaming. I think they can take this fight even down 1 member. That's just the power of a good Jayce lane for you.
Trying to get the vision control, but Jar. Okay, wait a minute. That's going to be turned on towards Icon. Icon doesn't have the HP, and so we're just talking about the members now being pushed off the map. Yeah, you might want to add LeBlanc to the mix. Jayce is painful.
Yeah. That's double lethality items built up already. You know, I really dislike the change where they made the lethality 21 points of lethality on Ghostblade.
Yeah.
Like, who's going to remember 21? Give them 20. I don't care.
Stats, numbers. It's always fun to see you or Freak talk about the stats whenever it comes to base stats or just, that in particular. It's always the clean numbers. And probably, I can imagine you not going to sleep because of this.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That and your neighbor's heater. I heard that story.
You're my neighbor.
That is true. I have a loud heater. I apologize. Okay, here comes the whole gang. OMG taking control of the Baron side. In fact, just starting on it, trying to rush it. There are people who are basing on the side of JDG, but they do see happening. 5K gold, and you can hear the screeching. That's a lot of members on it. 2K, 1K, not going to be in position to steal it. Levi is left out. Puts Alistar in a pen. But that's OMG sneaking Baron away from JD.
What a smart play going from the JD Gaming on the map for far too long. They took the Mountain Drake and then they wandered towards the top side. OMG just picking their spots perfectly. No contest from JD Gaming.
They didn't even need Icon for that one. Icon just picked himself up a blue. So well played. I know that they had control of the Baron pit for some time, but one of the weaknesses they had last game was just the willingness to pull the trigger when they have the objective in mind. Seems like that's something that they really worked on between games.
And this game around, they do have a late game solution as well. So even if they don't pull the trigger, they can't find the perfect rush yet. They will be feeling okay for this game just dragging on a little bit longer.
Weird position as Corki is actually split pushing topside, so he's trying to threaten what it looks like the inhibitor turret, but OMG just wants to fight. If that's the case, then it seems like a little bit of disrespect on the side of JD.
Yeah, I don't think Corki at this point can contest the Yorick 1v1. Now, you probably can't win out on it fully. Still gonna have to wait for another item, I would say. But once you get that Infinity Edge, that's when we see the map dynamics really start to shift up. I don't think Jayce is going to be as relevant at that point, but Yagao is going to be able to control the bot lane, and he is running with the package and the teleport.
You can also see that between games, 5 was definitely got his voice heard. From Sean's Kench now to Alistar. So if we're just talking about a split push situation as we saw in game 1, certainly not going to be an issue if a headbutt pulverizer is prepared here. Has flash as well, so Zoom is here seemingly alone. I don't think they see Yagao and the whole crew behind him.
OMG is actually surrounded in this fight. This is a 3v5.
Shock Blast hits Chelly.
Can they escape?
Yeah, Levi wants this, but you can tell that JDG as a whole make the call to back on out of there because mid lane is being contested by Icon. Icon is chipping at the start, has enough AP now to really be a threat.
And he can actually just straight transition towards the top side as well and make sure they get maximum advantage out of that pick that JD Gaming was trying to set up.
You made a point last game that it was JDG using their heads, not their brawn, to really get these leads. It's OMG now taking that trade. Sure, they have Baron buff, but it's certainly now just the Trickster in the mid lane and Icon chipping out the mid lane turret. Well, it's Xiyang with the power top lane.
Now, the standard response to this is you really have to take out the 3-man in the 1-3-1. However, JD Gaming really aren't grouped up for that play to happen. They've allowed OMG to advance too far forwards into the map.
Not a lot of range there for Kalista. To your point, you can see Levi aggressively positioning because they have the members. If you're talking about starting a fight, they have the Jarvan, Galio, and the Kalista prepared for it. It's going to be hard though because you can see Zoom clearing out the mid lane. They have no one clearing out that top lane just yet. They have a small amount of window, and you can see the damage that Icon took while he was mid. Perhaps this is your time to start the fight if you're JDG.
Yep, the combo that we're looking for, Fate's Call into Jarvan's Cataclysm, would most likely be the best way to start this. But JD Gaming, they still don't find anything. OMG really smart on these plays. They've been backing out at the exact right moments.
Talking about ticking time bombs, because you're right about OMG playing this one out well, but you gotta feel pressed when the Corki's picked up his rapid fire cannon. He's gonna be looking for his next one, which should be an Infinity Edge. And so, flanking Corki, there have been memes about that one particularly for Xiaohu.
Ooh, 90,000 plus on the power scale.
Yes.
It's even better than what you see in Dragon Ball Z. That's pretty much his nickname in the LPL.
Get late enough into a game. I know a lot of champions out there can now solo out the Elder Dragon with how little damage I would say that he's doing. But Corki is definitely a powerhouse. So while the games have been faster, as of late, we're seeing longer and longer games. We're not seeing the 25-minute games that we saw at Worlds. We're not seeing the 26 or the 30-minute games that we saw at the beginning of the split. We're seeing a lot more 40-minute games, and that would do well for JDG.
And we've seen a lot of nerfs to high damage dealing champions, like the Akali, like the LeBlanc, across the board. It is harder to just snipe off targets. And with that, players are allowed to make more movements around the map. They're punished less for walking into brushes. And the jungle impact has also been down quite a bit as well. You know, in the start of the split, we were seeing junglers have 14 kill games, 14 assist games, and be basically even level throughout the entire game with their solo lanes. That's no longer the case with the experience changes.
Yeah, that's your point. But it looks like JDG are going to be looking to power through this tower. So much damage already. 50% of the tower's HP taken away. And Penguin looks like he's their only form of engage if Alistar is not there. Now Alistar moving in position to finally take control of the left flank. So good call there. JDG have to move away.
Yep, it's JD Gaming. This is what we wanted to see out of their composition. I actually felt like they could have executed this a little bit earlier. Yep. They did have to pick their spots where there was in a position.
Oh, a 1v1, but doesn't hit the chain. Certainly would have been the kill on an Imp. He was able to get the second act on that one. So still forces the heal off of Imp. You can already see the struggle that Imp will go into once the game gets underway. The team fights around Baron buffs coming up in 12 seconds. Getting really risky here for their AD carry.
People often forget, but the chain actually has the highest ratio out of the LeBlanc skill set right there. So massive points of damage, and was very likely a kill going down like you were talking about.
There are certainly members. We've seen a lot of LeBlancs these days. Karsa, if you remember the series just yesterday, our match of the week, RNG versus TOP, where he just lost his life. Didn't press ulti at all. Thought he was going to be fine once the chain went down, but nah, that was his death. That was, he was, what was it, 50% HP?
The tether damage always surprises people. People don't think about it. Usually it's like, oh, Distort's going to be the thing that kills me. Tether actually has the highest AP ratio out of the skill set.
Remember, his first tether, 100%, sets you up for the second tether, the most damaging tether that's out there. So, that being said, Corki package is going to be used. Looks like a lot of control being reined back in for JDG. They do not have the gold lead, but it's minuscule. It doesn't even make sense. 1k gold lead in form of OMG, but in terms of how they've been playing the map, JDG has had the mid lane control.
Question here is, how can OMG actually get themselves into a fast team fight? If they get poked out, if there's a dance between the two teams, I really do see JD Gaming coming out ahead.
They seem pressed to do this. Remember, that's Yorick mooring in the bottom lane, but he's basing, and it looks like they're going to be looking to contest this. That's oh, actually, that's Galio being taken out of the fight completely. Yagao wants to be able to get some damage on the Icon. We're going to see a Jarvan ultimate Cataclysm, but two-man knock up there for Alistar. Another flank from Xiyang, so Xiyang is ready to fight.
Imp goes down.
Picks up Imp. That's a lot of your damage dealers out of it. OMG take full control of that team fight. Zoom's gonna get chased down. If they kill him, then that's a full clear, but no. Oh no, he wants it. Get over here.
Let's see if he can land the E. Oh, misses it.
That was actually, where are you even looking? Doesn't matter though, because even there are blinking HP bars. 5 just get out of there. That's gonna be a Baron buff for OMG.
Ooh, questionable decision for JD Gaming right there. I'm not even sure they should have done the turnaround. It was a situation where OMG would have a very difficult time engaging on their comp, and they could have kept the enemy team away just with Galio zoning. I felt like that was probably the best situation to play for JD Gaming. Instead, they do a full turnaround through their ramp, which is typically not advised. You use a lot of gap closer, and it's easy for the enemy team to focus down on you.
Look at the damage here, because it starts this one off by going on top of Penguin. It's enough damage for your, Levi to feel comfortable in picking up this fight. But take a look at where Yagao is. Not positioned to have that follow-up. In fact, only gets about 2 autos before you realize that Yorick is right behind you. So
yeah,
great damage by Yorick and great damage by Icon.
5 also had a clutch auto attack to stun out Imp there. So very good timing. He picked the correct target out of 3 people on the spot and made sure it basically didn't get a single rend off in that team fight, taking away a lot of Kalista's damage. I have to say, I don't like the turnaround from JD Gaming. I felt that was a situation where you try to zone, you try to drag out the fight, make sure your poke does the work for you. Instead, they try for a full-on engage and get punished super hard.
They are trying so hard to get to a point where Yagao is dealing reliable damage. I think that's just way too difficult without your Infinity Edge power spike. That is so huge for this team. Really just doubles, literally, your crit rate on your rapid fire cannon. But with how fast this game has been turning, no one here to defend that top lane inhibitor or inhibitor tower being taken away by Xiyang. I mean, this is just hard. At this point, the minions are going to go up against you.
Oh, and Yagao might have caught out.
That's a headbutt pulverized flash to follow him through and take down on Yagao. Straight up team fight, but I don't think it's going to work well. Penguin all in on this. LeBlanc to follow through, but Imp is still... Nah, he's dead. He's dead. He's gone from the fight. And that's going to be OMG cleaning up JDG.
Oh, so much damage coming in from the backside. Just one pick, and they're able to completely knock down the team fight. OMG, they're going to find their first win of the series.
This is insane. If you would have told me at the beginning of the day, OMG should have had a 2-0 in this series, that I would call you insane. I would say you're not watching the LPL. OMG in Chengdu take game 2 and respond to that robbery of a game 1. JDG are not looking strong.
Yeah, that was a situation where OMG was really representing for the city of Chengdu right there. JD Gaming looked like they had the game in the bag. Disastrous start from the top side. A great start for the poke composition on JD Gaming's side. They basically could pick the lanes and the sieges that they wanted to set up. But OMG coming back with the better objective control. I think that's the key thing, key phrase for this game. They sneak away a Baron. They start to get into the gold lead. And the second time around, JD Gaming overplay their hands. Not a great decision to force your way up into the ramp. 5 gets a triple man knockup followed into a stun onto Imp, and that's the team fight.
Look at how much damage Imp was able to get off. 5.2k.
Support did more.
Yes. Ooh. That's how unsafe he was throughout the entire venture of the game.
I guess it makes sense. I mean, your Pokemon's supposed to do more damage than the trainer, but not what you want to see.
That's basically Ash Ketchum coming out there with fists, all right? That's not what you want right now. And so Icon coming in with his signature LeBlanc, and he challenged Imp at every point. Before the team fight happened in topside, he came in and he said, you're not going to have heal for this one. So coming in with the Kalista, I know we're seeing quite a bit of it, but do you like the Kalista? Do you think going into game 3, we should even see Imp being on the field?
I think that JD Gaming, honestly, at this point, they could buy into the Kaisa. They can have the insurance themselves. It looks like their solo lanes are not strong enough to actually carry them through the early game. So at this point in time, having a strong bot lane at the same time probably isn't as worthwhile as having a late game insurance.
That's fair enough. I want to be able to see in game 3 if we see a change in the bottom lane. But that will be JDG. Losing out game 2, we'll find out if game 3 actually goes in OMG's favor after the break.